Hi, and welcome to another episode of Bored and Annoyed. I'm home at the movies,
And I am Jackson.
and today we're discussing a whole bunch of stuff. Bored and Annoyed.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks, so I've seen about 8,000 things since I last did this. Most good. A couple stinkers, too, though.
Yeah, I figured we'd start off with the news first, though. So, X-Men Dark Phoenix has been pushed back, and they're doing reshoots. What are your thoughts about that?
I'm really depressed. I was really excited to see it.
Yeah, I have no excitement for this movie at all.
No, I hated the last one. I don't know. I'm just done with all of it, to be honest with you. It was so terrible. I mean, it's right up there with X-Men 3,
Right?
but it's not quite as bad as Wolverine Origins. Let's just
No,
put it that way.
I'd say it's a very comfortable second worst.
But there are no redeeming qualities to the movie.
No, that was a painful watch. Yeah, I mean, they got Simon Kinberg, who has been the producer on a lot of these movies. I think he produced Days of Future Past also.
Okay.
And he did the reshoots. I told you before, he did the reshoots on Fantastic Four, the most recent one. So there's a little taste as to what we might expect.
Well, wait a minute. So he directed this whole thing, this new one?
Yes.
It wasn't Bryan Singer then?
Nope. Brian Singer, he left.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, he's got other things he's dealing with.
yes, yeah. I don't know if I want to touch that one.
Yeah, probably not. But
I think this might have something to do with, I mean, maybe it's the Disney buyout. Maybe they're, because it's not just that. It's also New Mutants is also
the other
been
one
pushed.
got delayed, right?
Yeah. So they're doing reshoots on both. They're saying it's only $10 million worth of reshoots, which is not a whole lot. I think they spent about that much on Superman's mustache removal.
That's insane.
Yeah. I think those reshoots cost somewhere in between 30 and 50 mil.
For what?
For Justice League?
Okay,
Yeah.
but the mustache wasn't the bulk of the...
No, it was a good portion though. I mean, I forget where I read it, but they were saying it was something like 8 million.
No, it's funny. It's like, why couldn't they just pay $4 million
Right.
to whoever was making Mission Impossible and just say, can we please just shave his mustache?
Right.
You know,
Yeah. So Thor Ragnarok's director, Taika Waititi,
did he get hired for something else?
his newest picture is going to star Scarlett Johansson, and it's a World War II piece. She's going to play the mother of the main character in the film, who's a young boy who is enlisted in Hitler's army. The boy is having a hard time dealing with what's going on, and he doesn't have a father figure, and he finds out his mom is harboring a Jewish kid in their house. And to deal with the stress of being in the military and all of that, he creates a fake Hitler that's an amalgamation of the real Hitler and his father. It's like his imaginary friend. And it's like a weird, I don't know if he's going to be slightly effeminate, slightly silly, but Taika Waititi is actually going to play the fake Hitler. So,
People can't see my face. but
Right,
sort of-
yeah.
I'm wondering where he's going to fit his goofy New Zealand actors into this movie.
right, yeah. Well, because that's part of the charm is hearing he's a bad egg and all that stuff.
He's
Ricky
a bad
Baker,
egg.
bad egg, Ricky Baker.
Yeah, I like that director, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It sounds a little-
it sounds horrible.
It just sounds, I don't know. I mean, I've doubted people before, and they've come out with awesome shit. But
Right.
it sounds a little bit like, humor in Hitler. I might laugh, but there
Right.
might be people who don't.
Right. I mean, that is one hell of a tightrope to walk.
Yep.
I mean, the chances of him offending somebody are pretty fucking
But
high.
that's kind of good, though.
Right. I mean,
People need to be offended.
right. Well, and it's not like he's going to be, at least I assume, he's not going to go out there and be like, yeah, Hitler was a great, it's a fake Hitler. It's a fake,
sure.
silly Hitler that I'm sure they're going to poke a lot of fun at.
And do you know the title of this, or do they not have a title?
They don't have a title yet. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, they do. It's Jojo Rabbit.
All right, bring it on.
And that reminds me, I wanted to mention also that his newest film, which I believe they're still working on, I think it's a direct-to-Netflix movie, is a claymation film that's going to follow Bubbles, Michael Jackson's monkey.
Okay.
And it's going to follow, like, Michael Jackson's life through the eyes of Bubbles.
Okay, see, now that sounds more
Right.
like one of his movies.
Right.
I heard that they're doing a TV series for the What We Do in the Shadows, too.
Yeah, I heard that,
And
yeah.
he's involved
I hope
somehow?
so.
I think
hope
he
so.
is.
Well,
I like that movie a lot. I thought that was really
that was
good.
great. And they're also working on the third season of Flight of the Conchords. Which
No, they are not. It's coming back?
It's coming back.
Oh, yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Yeah, that is a good one.
And then the last thing I wanted to ask you about is, based on what we saw from Jurassic World, the first one, based on what you're seeing from the trailer,
It looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible.
Are you excited for Colin Trevorrow to be coming back for the third one? Because that's what Steven Spielberg said.
I'm not like I don't get excited about these movies, Jurassic Park.
Right.
I'm not like one of these huge Jurassic Park guys. I'm going to see it.
Right.
Because everybody's going to see it.
Right.
But I thought the first one, I guess, of this series was pretty weak. I wasn't a big fan.
No, it's not a good movie.
Right.
It's a remember when we did this in the first one?
Right. Well, yeah, and that can be okay. Like, I think The Force Awakens is that, but
yeah,
doesn't suck.
but at least that had characters.
Right.
There's nothing in the new ones. But yeah, I just
What, you don't think it's cool to see somebody train a velociraptor who the lore has been set up as this,
right.
just completely, basically demonic creature that will rip your throat out?
I will say yeah, I mean it's like the villain of like the whole series basically.
Oh, it's the most the T-Rex is not
the
really
T-Rex
that
ends up
important.
coming in and being like the hero at the end of the film. But I will say this about the Velociraptors training and all that stuff. If that means I get a cool ass shot of Chris Pratt riding a bike with Velociraptors flanking him as they're going into battle against the whatever the hell Saurus.
Didn't we see that in the first one?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was worth it for me.
Okay.
All the stupidity was worth that one cool
Okay.
shot. Well, not really, but whatever.
I mean, it's not a horror. It's not like unwatchable. It just sucked. I don't know. Like, I can see kids really probably liked it.
Right.
There's nothing that's like
The first
terrible. I mean, I don't know.
The first and only time I saw it in theaters, and actually the only time I saw it, period,
Yeah, me too.
I did like hearing that John Williams theme in the theater again.
Right.
But it's like, you're just pulling at my heartstrings with that, and it's a cheap fucking move. It's like when they put the Harry Potter.
Well, I was just gonna say Superman and Batman, like the original movies.
Yes, they put those
the
in Justice
Donner
League.
and the Burton themes are both hidden in there.
Yep.
And actually, in that new show Krypton,
Do
which looks to me like it's supposed to be like Man of Steel, DCEU
Oh, no.
world. They
Fantastic.
still put in
the
the
Donner?
Reeves music,
Really?
which makes me feel all confused and shit because like this, there's nothing about this that is like, oh yay, like Superman.
Well, it looks super dark. I remember seeing the trailer, and it's like a dude in like a leather jacket, and I'm like, this doesn't scream Krypton to me at all. This just screams like.
All right, so first tangent, I guess, of the
Right.
podcast
Like,
here.
yeah, let's
the
do it.
plot of the show, and I've only watched the first episode. I've got the other one DVR'd, but the plot of the show is basically it's Superman's grandfather is like a teenager, early 20s or something, and his family has been like gotten their names taken away, so the L's are gone. The L's, the House of L.
Right,
They're like,
right.
They were his dad was killed and whatever.
Okay.
Now, basically, the plot is that some guy from Earth in the future, wearing like a Detroit Tigers hat and a leather jacket,
Oh, I'm already loving this.
he shows up. Okay, and it's him talking to Superman's grandfather, like, look, you need to do X, Y, and Z, otherwise Kal-El will never be born. So it's like, instead of doing something creative where Superman has nothing to do with this, which is kind of what I was hoping for,
Right.
it's still about Superman. Like, and he has to do it. He brings his cape. He brings Superman's cape, and it's like slowly dissolving or some shit. And whatever it is that the grandson, or the grandfather, excuse me, this is Superman's grandfather, has to do, he has to do before the cape completely dissolves. But it's all it clearly looks like Krypton, like a cheap, shitty version of Krypton from Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, not Krypton from Donner's
dark,
icy,
So dark and dour and lots of grays and...
But then you get the music of like the, John Williams classic. Yeah.
It's depressing.
Yeah, right. And it's stupid, but I'll watch the next one, whatever. There is, I'm interested to see... Zod has like his family's in it,
right?
So like it's his crew, like his older, whatever.
Yeah, in the comics,
that could be intriguing. But like all the costumes look like shitty versions of the good ones, and
so is it like DC's Inhumans?
I never watched it.
I never watched Inhumans either, but I mean,
it's
are the costumes as bad? Because those were that was like some cosplay shit.
Probably, but here's the difference: is this is on Sci-Fi, so this show will last 2 or 3 seasons.
That's true.
It doesn't matter if anybody watches it. I don't understand how those channels exist besides piggybacking on everybody else, because I can't imagine.
Well, yeah, it's kind of weird because you look at them and it's like, well, you can tell that they put like all their budget into like 3 shows,
right?
And then they just marathon some other shitty show throughout the day. Like they're if they have, I don't even know if Sci-Fi has like a reality TV show, but if they have a reality TV show,
it's a good one too. It's about it's a makeup effects one.
Oh, okay.
I forget the name of it. Face Off.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty intriguing, but the problem is nobody does that for movies anymore.
Right, yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you see one once in a while, but typically it's just they should have Face Off with people on computers, like fat people on computers looking like they hate their lives and drinking coffee. And
you imagine doing that job? Just sitting at a computer like 12 hours, because those people don't get paid overtime because they're like what the industry calls below the line workers. So they get shit pay, they don't get overtime. It's just kind of like, we need this, buy this, and just do it. Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, they clearly make all their money right off 3 shows. Sci-Fi has probably made a bulk of their money off of Sharknado over the last 10 years.
I haven't even seen. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen it. But there's people. I mean, obviously it's popular in its own weird niche group.
Oh, that reminds me. We should talk a little bit about Jessica Jones too, since we're on a tangent of superhero shows.
I'll leave it to you, my friend, because I couldn't get through the 2nd episode.
Okay, so what happened in the first one? She got pissed off at that PI,
the Chinese Asian dude. Yeah, the Asian dude.
That is, he's horning in on her territory. And
he was trying to hire her.
Yep.
And she basically told him, fuck off. And
yeah,
blah, blah,
didn't you
blah.
love that scene where they're like, oh, like they slam the door on him after he leaves her office, and they're like, what a dick. And I'm like,
no, it's like,
I'm pretty sure you were being the asshole in that scene.
From the logical standpoint, you're putting yourself into this character's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just take the job?
Right.
Aside from the fact that you don't have a show or you don't have conflict then, but really, there's no
other than I'm a loner and I do my own thing. And
it was terrible, Alex.
Yeah.
That show is terrible.
Yeah.
That scene with the speedster type character,
yes.
I couldn't
the
believe
wizard.
I could not believe it. And you knew that he was going to legit have the powers either. There was absolutely no suspense as far as obviously this is a little bit of a, they're trying to trick you into thinking this dude's just some crazy lunatic.
Yeah, right.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah. That was all of a sudden you were watching a standard sort of regular TV show, what is it, League of Legends or what? Not League of Legends, Legends of Tomorrow. That's the other one that's on CW with Arrow and all that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's
yeah.
like all of a
But in
sudden tonally you shifted to one of those shows.
It looked worse than that show does.
That's true.
It
That's
honestly
true.
does. Because those shows have like a comic booky, like you can almost look past some of that kind of stuff because it's so cheesy and whatever.
Right.
But this is like you're supposed to be in this gritty, real world.
Right.
And you've got some jackass who like, and it doesn't look good. It looked terrible.
How'd you like that noir music that just sort of comes in out of nowhere and you're like, this isn't fucking noir. Like, I know that you think by putting noir in and the fact that there's a mystery, it's a noir show.
Yeah,
but that's not how it works.
The entire thing sucked.
Yeah, the sister is just one of the worst characters.
I don't think there's a character I like on the, including Jessica. I don't even like her anymore.
No, well, because she's just, she attacks a dude for, I don't even know what he said to her, but it was something so minuscule that you're like, you are a completely weak and just piece of shit human being. And then her sister does terrible things too. She's like, hey, come on my radio show. Hey, if you don't, here's your parents' ashes. You feeling guilty yet?
Oh, yeah, that's right. There was that bit, too.
And you're like, you're a horrible human being. That's a horrible thing to do to somebody.
That show was really bad.
But
yeah, I mean, okay, let me ask you this. You watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Does Jessica Jones, like, have a change of heart and become a better person by the end of this season?
No, she learns nothing. It was one of those things where, all right, so anybody who's listening, I'm going to go into spoilers.
Yeah, I don't care.
So whole...
Nobody should care.
Nobody should care. This is the worst Marvel TV show, except I haven't seen Inhumans, so I can't make that claim.
Is
fully.
it worse than the
Iron Fist? Yes.
Yeah, I suppose I got through Iron Fist.
Iron Fist had some fights that kind of, I mean, they sucked. They were horrible.
They were so bad. The karate chick, the one who like runs the
karate dojo.
Her fight was just like, are you kidding me?
Watching the main guy fight was horrendous.
He was bad.
But
watching him act was bad.
She, Jessica Jones twist. Her mom's alive. She didn't die in the car accident.
So the entire first season is like pointless now because wasn't that like the crux of?
No, the crux of the first one was that Kilgrave, brainwashed her, and it was like this whole like metaphor for rape and stuff.
Okay, but her entire like motivation stems from the fact that her parents died in this accident or whatever, and she had to go live with the Wicked Witch of the West,
right?
The wicked stepmother, and
like not even a realistic person.
No, nothing about it. It's terrible. Those two people, Jessica Jones and her sister, grew up in the same household. It's not believable. They don't act anything alike.
Well, it's kind of believable because the one sister, she was a pop star, and they actually deal with that in this season. They have like 2 or 3 episodes which are just straight flashbacks. And they show us where she got her leather jacket, as if we fucking care. It's a leather jacket. It's not like this.
But it's her thing.
Yeah, it's her. Yeah, and then we found out where she got the name for Alias, Private Eye, whatever the fuck. It came from her boyfriend who died, who wanted to start a nightclub called Alias.
Okay.
Pointless. Her mom. Okay, so. There's that place that gave her the powers, IGH, I think is what it's called. And her mom also was in the accident, and they also took her, but the mom had more severe wounds. So Jessica got out, and she was fine, but the other one had like a coma and stuff. So they had all these issues, and so they didn't know if what they did to her made her aggressive or if it was some sort of brain trauma from the car accident. But she's like nuts. Like she's like super, super aggressive, but she has Jessica Jones powers. So that's who's chasing Whizzer in the first episode is actually her mom. And it's because she fell in love with one of the doctors. She's in hiding with that doctor. And the second that Trish, Jessica's sister, starts talking about IGH on the radio, she's like, well, fuck this. I'm not going to let this blonde bimbo ruin my man's great name because she's dating the fucking doctor. Anyways,
who plays Jessica Jones's mom?
I don't know, but I will say this: she is easily the best character in the show.
Okay.
Easily, like.
So yeah, the villain's the best character.
Yeah, again.
Right? I mean,
again, but yeah, she. Anyways, long story short, Jessica and her start going on the run because they find out that her mom's been killing people, and at the end of the show, Jessica has sort of resigned herself to being on the run with her wanted mother. Like, they're in an RV and they're running away. And Jessica makes no choice at the end of the show. She's like, yeah, we can keep running and blah, blah, blah. And then Trish shows up and shoots her mom. Okay. And that's the end of the season. And you're like, you're both terrible fucking people who do terrible things. You learned nothing, and all you guys did was be bitches the whole season. It was one of the worst TV experiences I've had.
I won't be finishing it. I'm just going to stop. I'm not watching it. And even, you know what, these Marvel shows, I'm not even going to start the next one until I know. Until somebody tells me it's worth it, because it's 13 hours long.
Right. Well, they all need to be cut down to 10. They all need to be cut to 10, and they need bigger budgets.
You could have cut... what episode did, what's his name, die? The Oscar winner die in Luke Cage? Was it like 7?
7, yeah.
Last episode.
Yeah.
End that show right there.
Right. Well, then...
Because there's always that third, you know, chunk of the show, the last, like, 5 to 6, 5 episodes or so that are just terrible.
Punisher was good, though.
Well, Punisher was terrible in the middle, in my opinion.
I mean, it was slow as fuck.
Right. No, I just want to see the end, and I didn't need all that shit in the middle. I didn't need, like, the little fake romance between the cop chick and his buddy.
Yeah, that was dumb. That was really dumb.
That's a big chunk of the show, though.
Yeah. I will say
the ending was fantastic of that one, though.
Yeah.
That's what you came to see, is just him killing everybody.
Yep. Oh, when he was scraping the dude's face against the mirror?
Yeah,
that was amazing. Yeah. No, those shows, I mean, we're still on a tangent here, but, well, whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's...
people can tell us, you guys can let us know in the comments if maybe we should cut this shit out, Maybe just get to the fucking movie reviews and shut your mouths about stupid shit. But we're bored and annoyed, so fuck you.
Well, should we get to the movie reviews now?
Yeah. Which one do you want to start with? Jackson, I think, has seen more movies than I have recently.
I've seen a bunch of movies recently. And I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to talk about one I watched last night.
Okay.
Pitch Perfect 3.
Oh, my.
Terrible.
Okay.
I like the first two.
I haven't seen the first two.
They're good. They're fun, stupid little movies.
Right.
The ensemble cast is really good. I mean, they obviously, they're funny. There's good musical numbers in them.
Right.
I would bet that anybody listening to this who's seen the first two probably liked them. I can't imagine a lot of people don't like them.
Right.
But
that's what I've heard.
The third one was like your quintessential awful sequel, cash grab sequel with like just a thin narrative, nothing going on. The music wasn't very good. Everything, all the gags and all the plot points were like shittier versions of what they've done in the previous films. Like there's always like a rival singing group, for instance.
Oh man, yeah, because that rivalry with singing groups, it gets real extreme.
Well, so the show, like, it's the first movie is like they're like a college, group, and they're up against other colleges. So obviously, like the other.
So it's not contrived,
right? So this one has, oh god,
I heard Clay Matthews was in this.
He was in the second one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which he had a funny little bit in it, actually.
Okay.
But this one, it's just, they have the same gags as they did in the old ones, but they're just not good anymore. Like the rivalry they have set up, the previous ones, like, The Workaholics dude, Adam Devine, was
Right.
like on one of the teams in the first one. He's hilarious. He's
Right.
another character in the movie. And this one, it's just like there's this band. And I don't know if you know who Ruby Rose is.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so
Yep.
she's like the
John
lead
Wick, too.
singer / guitarist of one of these bands that they're like up against. No character. There's just no character. And DJ Khaled's in there.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's terrible. It really is bad. But that's all I got to say about that. I didn't like it. I thought it was garbage. Didn't find many things to laugh at. Didn't find much joy in it whatsoever, to be honest with
So
you.
you didn't change my mind on it whatsoever, which is fine.
No, it's terrible. I mean, I hope I stop people from seeing it. It was really bad. But yeah, what do you got? What do you got?
Pacific Rim 2.
Okay. Well,
Uprising.
yeah.
If anybody actually who listens to this actually follows my channel, which you can at YouTube, Home with the Movies, shameless plug.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's your channel.
It's it is what it is. But yeah, that movie was awful.
It's one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. And I can't even, like, it's one of those things where I was falling asleep. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I should say that, like, I shouldn't be judging this movie so harshly because I fell asleep, or that I should be able to judge it harshly because I fell asleep.
Right.
I mean, it's a big action blockbuster. I shouldn't want to fall asleep, right?
No.
That's the idea.
Yeah, I like how... Okay. So I'm going to do a quick sort of story recap just in case...
And spoilers, by the way.
spoilers. So this one takes place like 10, 20 years after 10 years after the first one?
Sure.
And Finn, I'm just going to call him Finn because it doesn't matter. Finn from Star Wars is Idris Elba's son. And he's a guy who decided he was a Jaeger pilot, and then he's like, no, I don't want to. And the kaijus have stopped coming, but they're still building Jaegers because they're like, well, they're going to come back.
They could come back.
They could come back. So, the main problem in the beginning is they want to take away the funding from the manned Jaegers, and they want to give it to unmanned or remote piloted,
which is the
Jaegers.
Asian lady, right?
Yes, who
Okay.
doesn't want to shake people's hands for some reason because that lets us know that she's a bitch.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, how else do you think?
Yeah, I mean, how else can you display a character?
I mean, she's running a business, and she has
yeah.
like an evolutionary step for this product to take that would make perfect sense to anyone who used their brain. So you
Right.
have to make her a bitch,
Right,
Because that's
yeah.
the only way you can turn the audience against her.
Right, which it still didn't successfully do because I was like, you haven't made a claim against this
Yeah,
at all.
I didn't hate anyone in this movie that I was supposed to hate for the reasons I was supposed to hate them.
Yes.
I hated people because I hated their performances, and I just didn't want them on the screen anymore.
I could not believe how bad all of the characters were.
Yeah, they were all terrible. I mean, the least offensive one was probably like the dude who's kind of after the same girl. Were they after this girl? I couldn't figure it out. Was that supposed to be like a romance
So that's Clint
thing?
Eastwood's son, Scott Eastwood.
Okay.
One, he's flat and boring. I didn't hate him. He's just boring.
Right, so he's not offending me.
He's
like
not
that.
offending me.
Yeah.
But then he started offending me by how flat and boring he was. Because I'm like, just do something with this fucking character. But he wasn't given anything. I can't lay it at
it's
his
not
feet.
his fault, right?
Like-
Everyone else was more obnoxious than he was.
That's true. The little girl, hated her.
Oh, the kids, the little Ender's Game type
Right,
thing they had
yeah.
going with the children was terrible.
Yeah. Well, it was so weird because you could just tell that this was one of those movies that was just concocted in a room. They're like, well, we got to hit the kids demographic, and we've got to get the Twilight fans, so we'll put a romance in there, and we already got the kaiju fans and the fat nerds, the older fat nerds, so we don't have to worry about them. Yeah, you fucking do, because
That's the movie.
You gave me a plot that nobody cares about for the first hour, and then it finally gets going in the second hour, but guess what? You fucking lost me. I don't give a shit about anyone in this movie.
I think there was major studying done regarding who enjoyed and really liked the first movie.
Right.
And I believe that they probably had a ton of kids that liked the first movie.
I could see that.
I mean, that would be my guess, because
Right.
it's clearly wedged. They're wedged in there for kids, and kids aren't going to hate this movie. Let's be honest. They're going to probably think
That's
it's pretty
true.
good. You know what I mean?
I've gone on comment sections and they were like, I had a lot of fun. I don't know what the critics are talking about. You don't fucking understand
didn't feel
movies.
like the first movie.
It was so... I mean, I watched part of the first movie when it was on TV just a couple nights ago, and the cinematography is just unbelievable. I mean, that's Guillermo. And the set design is beautiful. Everything's more dimly lit. Everything's more... And I understand, like, narratively we're in a different place. This is a more hopeful place because the kaijus have stopped coming, We just happen to have giant robots now. But the set design is so... Like, they're dealing with those holograms and they're throwing them all around the room like they're fucking Iron Man.
Minority Report.
Or Iron Man,
yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, this is just shorthand for, I didn't want to build something. We'll just fucking have the CG artist throw some shitty little schematics on the screen later.
Yeah, it has none of the allure of the first one.
Yeah. Well, because it had like a weird sort of steampunk aesthetic for the first one, which...
Right, and it had like a weird, like the lore was kind of cool with like the underground, like criminal element to the movie with Ron Perlman and stuff.
Yeah, that was cool. Nothing fleshed... That fleshed out the world in a really interesting way, right when you were
It's the best part of the movie, in my opinion. I mean...
my favorite part is still the fight, the first fight where they bust out the sword that they're like, oh shit, we had this sword this whole time.
Oh yeah, that's right, yep.
And when he uses the the freight train or whatever as a bat, that whole fucking action.
You're right. There was nothing like that in this, was there?
No,
there was nothing cool like that.
Nope.
The action scene was basically a shittier version of like Dark of the Moon, the Transformers movie, the Chicago battle.
Yep.
Which was spliced with Charlie Day going, that was the scene, and every time they went back to him, I just said to myself, like, wow, I liked him, and now I might walk out of this movie not liking him. I'm not even kidding. Like, he's gonna annoy me now. Like, it was terrible. He should be pissed. When he watches this movie, he should be pissed.
Yeah,
because like people that don't like him. This is why.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
true.
Attica, man, Attica. It put a magnifying glass on everything annoying about him. It was like, okay, do all the things that...
But he was in a different movie, though, than like everybody else. Tonally, he was in like fucking Batman and Robin. Compared to what everybody else was in.
Right. Well, and you know what's funny is like the thing they set up that would have been the most interesting if they followed through on it and did it right was him with the like brain in his room.
Yeah.
That he like is still talking to and obsessed with or whatever.
Yep.
That's neat idea. And then you just...
I saw it coming a fucking mile away though. The second his friend is like, I still have nightmares, and he's like, yeah, okay, yeah.
That's what he sounds like.
Yeah, okay. Just fucking God. He was terrible, but it didn't take away my love for the guy because I love him.
I love Always Sunny.
Yeah, so it's hard to sway me against him, but yeah, he was awful in this.
I'm not going to be excited just because I see he's in a movie anymore. Is my point.
Right. Yeah. I stopped getting that way when I don't know, it was some sort of Sam Jackson movie. Because Sam Jackson, just Sam Jackson. I just don't follow actors anymore.
It's probably smart.
I follow directors and writers because there's no point in following an actor because they can sign onto a shit movie and they don't know it. But
or they know it and they just want that
they just want the paycheck, yeah. So at the end, it felt I was having sort of flashbacks to Man of Steel.
Okay.
Because there was that orange Jaeger, which I will say this. Okay, I didn't like the CGI on them. They all looked like fucking cartoons. But I did like the design of the orange one because I was like, that's pretty sleek.
There was a design of one of the kaiju, like the main kaiju, before it turned into like the super kaiju,
the Megazord
or whatever.
kaiju.
The one that had like the it almost looked like a Venus flytrap for a face or whatever.
Yeah, that one was kind of cool.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
Now do something interesting with it. And
No, we don't want to do
we've
that.
seen all this shit before. You know what I mean? Like, I watched King Kong like 8 months ago, the new King Kong movie. It's like kind of the same bullshit.
It's
giant monsters fighting each other.
The best part of the movie for me was when the lizard has its tongue around King Kong's arm and he rips out.
Yeah, there you go.
That was fucking sweet.
Or, like, you do interesting things. Like, you had the scene where the spider legs are going down, like, through people's throats. That's what you got to do. You got to come up with interesting shit that people aren't expecting. Not, I'm going to throw this person into a building.
Right.
And by the way, that's the dumbest thing they did in the movie was the, Japan, Tokyo has been evacuated. They're all underground. Blah, 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 blah. It's like,
and then they're gone.
They're fighting in a completely empty... What's at stake here? Just go stand...
Well,
go stand on Mount Fuji and wait for the aliens.
End of the world is at stake, Jackson.
Right, but not there.
But it's But it's amazing how much you felt that in the first one. Because you were like, oh, fuck, they only have 4 Jaegers left. And it's kind of the same thing here, but you don't feel it at all because they haven't built it up because...
Because the movie sucks.
Yeah. But, so the orange Jaeger has 2 blades and kind of does that, throws both arms out, and the blades come out of their wrists or whatever. And she starts running, and the blades are going through all the buildings. I'm like, that is some unnecessary destruction right there. Like, if I caught the footage of this and I owned those buildings, I'm fucking suing you.
Yeah, but it looks so cool.
Yeah, that's badass. I fucking hated it.
I mean, the only thing I liked in the movie, I think I told you this, was when they show the little girl flashback and her whole family gets stepped on by the monster. That
was the scene you laughed at?
I loved it. Oh, it was great. Like, is this supposed to make me feel something? Because that was the only thing I can remember laughing at in the movie.
I did laugh when the See, but like I said in my review, I'm like, if this were like James Gunn directing, like I said, he probably would have picked a better song. But could you imagine like all other sounds cut out and that's the song that is playing while they're flying in the air, and that's the song that's playing when they're landing, and it ends? It becomes infinitely more interesting than what we had.
Well, so here's the point. They don't care to get James Gunn.
Right.
They don't care to get anybody good because they know they have a shitty movie.
That's very true.
And they're just making a shitty movie, and they're going to hire a shitty director
because they don't care.
Or a starting director. I mean, who knows? Whatever.
I mean, he's directed some decent TV shows. He did Spartacus. I've never seen it, but I've heard it's pretty good.
Hated it. Okay,
really?
That explains it.
Okay.
Hate that show.
Okay. I've heard that's decent. He did some of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He did some of Angel, and he did, I think, the first episode of the Daredevil show.
Daredevil's good, but the rest of those I can just... Ugh.
Yeah, he was actually, I think he was the showrunner for the first season of Daredevil. So... I don't know. I'm willing to give the guy another shot, but I'm going to have to see something higher than a 75 on Rotten Tomatoes for me to give him another shot. But
or maybe you just want to go to the theater and watch something shitty. I mean, you knew this was going to be shitty.
That's true. I did.
I mean, you got to... I see everything. I don't really give a shit.
I only see everything because of this and my channel. Otherwise, I'd be a lot more picky.
Yeah, but there's a joy that you can get out of this one. I didn't feel that because I hated it. But
well, because I was going to bring this up, but I don't think we have time to discuss this because we could discuss this for hours. What would you do to fix that movie? But you
just erase the movie and make a different movie.
You start over. Well, I thought it would be more interesting if Finn was a lot older and more jaded and a little less of this, like, I'm a cool, like, I don't give a shit kind of guy. You know? That was boring. It's boring and played out. You get, like, Danny Glover.
Old man
Danny Glover set it 50 years in the future. And he's like, fuck you, I don't, and it's, but you keep the girl the same age. At least
There's
you
still
have
a little girl.
Still a little, well, maybe she doesn't have to be, no, yes. Yes, because I don't want to have like a
Danny
fucking...
Glover.
What's he doing?
It's true.
He's got nothing going on. Bring
true.
him back. Angels in the Outfield. Classic.
Yeah, there you go. It's a good one. I like that movie.
But, yeah, that movie... I think I'm going to leave it off on this. We can talk about something that's far, far superior. I heard... some directors said that a fight scene is a conversation between two characters. You learn about the characters and their relationship should be changing throughout the fight scene. There's none of that here.
No, that's like classic old school Star Wars stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because they don't even need to talk, but you learn about them through their fighting style. Something It reminds like the fight scene between Lucy Liu and Uma Thurman in Kill Bill 1.
Awesome. The music, everything. It just kicks ass.
The whole scene is amazing.
Yeah.
And everything, it changes drastically. Their relationship changes drastically from beginning to end. And that's amazing. Nothing like that happens here. But do you want to talk about a better movie?
Depends on which movie. I'm assuming I know which movie you're going to bring up. But
Well, why don't you plug probably one of your new favorite movies?
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman. So give me a run. I don't even know. I know it's
do you know
sexy Hugh Jackman. That's all I know.
Okay, so it's the abridged life story of P.T. Barnum, who started the circus.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, he was a down on his luck kid.
Okay.
Dad died at a young age, fell in love with a girl at a young age, and it goes from when he's a kid through his retirement. Oh, spoilers! But through his retirement.
He just kept working until he died.
He's still working today.
He's mopping up.
They closed the circus last year.
He's mopping up that
But
elephant
no, it's
poo.
his character's the only one who's like fully fledged out in the movie. It's about him.
Okay.
The side characters really aren't. I guess his wife kind of is. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Awesome music. The guys who wrote the La La Land music wrote the music for this.
Which I like the music.
And it's way better. To me, this movie kicks the shit out of La La Land.
Well, it's a more upbeat story.
It's a more fun... Yeah, right.
Because La La Land was very... we're sad. We're kind of...
But no, I mean, it hits the notes. Just from seeing the trailer, it hits the notes you expect. It's kind of about acceptance and, a tolerance of people that are different.
Okay.
Whether on racial lines or, maybe the bearded lady.
Now, did he go out and find midgets and stuff?
There is one midget... Oh, God, I don't even want to call it like I don't want to get offensive here.
Right.
But there's one like little
person. That's right.
And they're not like one of those. I don't know. It's weird. They look like a really small person, like almost like it was like done with CGI, like a Hobbit or something.
Okay.
But it wasn't. It wasn't.
Good. Good. Those
and
people,
I think that the different person's voice did the voice of this character that I'm talking about. That if there's the biggest complaint to the movie. The CGI animals and anything that's CGI, because apparently they purposely didn't use a single real animal because they thought, if we're doing this movie then people are going to be pissed.
Okay.
If we use real animals, people are going to come after us from the animal rights groups. And this was a different time. We don't believe in doing that now, but in the time P.T. Barnum was doing this,
but you can get an animal for the wide shot.
I'm with you. They didn't. They didn't. But there's not that many animals. It's more about the people, like the bearded ladies and the Zendaya plays a acrobat who is a black girl.
Okay.
And at the time, people are whatever. Right. Basically, he starts this show, and you've got the poor working class people who just love it. They're entertained as hell. And then you've got the people who are like the snuffy rich people who think that P.T. Barnum's a joke.
Right.
And basically that's what the movie's about. Is him, there's got to be conflict somewhere, so he's trying to fit in with the stuffy people and kind of screwing over his own people to do so. You know what I mean?
So he's not sort of the stereotypical douchebag ringleader that you see in basically every circus.
He kind of is, though.
Does he start out that way and then he...
Well, so that's what I thought was interesting about the movie, too, was I had read reviews of this where they were like, oh, this movie is just way too nice to P.T. Barnum because, like, apparently people think that he was just this complete piece of garbage, huckster sales guy, basically. And he kind of is in the movie. But he kind of learns that, like, they become basically a family.
But they're saying it's even worse. It was even worse in history.
In history, it was worse. But then you'll talk to people in history who apparently he had a lot to do with, like, the beginning of animal rights. And, he was a politician, a Republican politician, when slavery was being, majorly discussed back in the, mid-1800s.
Wow.
So he,
So he didn't agree with slavery.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. But the point is, I don't really give a shit. I just want to see a movie that's fun.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I thought it was a fun movie. There's a musical number in it with Hugh Jackman and Zac Efron that is
that's what the people want to know.
It's been stuck in my head for a week, and it's amazing. Honestly, I thought it was great. Zac Efron, everything I see him in, even if it's bad. I kind of like him. He's just a likable, actor to me.
Right. Wasn't he in... He had like a serious role, like Paperboy, I think is what it was called.
I haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen it.
No, I'd like to see more stuff with him in it because he's good and Zendaya's good. But the thing is, so that's the romance in the movie. One of them is Zendaya and Zac Efron, and there's an example of like paper thin narrative where it's like basically they look at each other longingly in one of the scenes, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, they're in love. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
But then but musicals are tough for me because I'm not a huge musical guy.
Right.
I know that they're trying to but the relationship is made during the musical number. Like that's the point, right? Because you're not going to tell the story in scenes. You're going to do it with this musical number,
right?
And yeah, it's fine. It's La La Land is way more of a story. Like it's a real, long movie,
right?
And it's got a way more dense plot, whereas this is basically like, hey, let's put together a fun, this would be something you'd see in the theater, I would think.
Right. Well, we were talking about it before. It's kind of amazing. It's definitely become like a cult classic already.
It's huge.
Because it's got that 18 times multiplier.
Yeah, and so to explain that, basically it made like $8 million in its first weekend. So whatever it makes at the end of its run times that. So if it made $80 million in its run, it would have a 10 times multiplier. Yeah. And this movie's made 18 times what it made in its opening weekend. Which, when you compare it to a big budget movie, obviously it's a little different. But like if you have a $100 million weekend and you make $500 million domestically over your entire run, that's a huge success.
That's amazing. Well, people were blown away with Guardians 1 when that came out because that had over a 3 times multiplier. And that's really hard once you get up into the higher dollar amounts. So
basically, but the movie, I went and saw it in the theater on Wednesday, and it came out on Christmas.
Yeah.
So that's a long time.
That's actually a really impressive multiplier considering the time frame that it's been out. Because Titanic I think it has the highest multiplier, 21.
Yeah.
And that one was out, I want to say that was out for like 6 to 8 months, something like that. It was out for a long time. Same thing with Avatar, because Avatar has a crazy multiplier.
Right, Avatar was out forever, and Avatar was sold out forever, I think.
Yes, it was, yeah. Well, it had like some of the lowest weekend drops, like 10% drops.
Because people wanted to see it again. They'd never seen anything like it. But this one, I've got a friend, let's just say, who has seen it 9 times in the theater.
That's insane.
It's really fun. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it when you see it.
Oh, I'll definitely check it out. I mean, I'm like you. I'm not much of a musical guy, but I did enjoy La La Land.
I'll tell you what. I like both those movies. I mean, maybe
maybe you are. Maybe you just have good taste.
Right. I liked the Beauty and the Beast movie. I thought that was good. I mean, I
don't like it as much as the original, but
no. But I mean, that's for us.
Yeah.
But no, there is one character though who you're in the movie. You're in the movie, so there's this critic in the movie.
Oh, fantastic!
And he writes, he's kind of the snobby,
good
shit all over P.T. Barnum guy.
Tell him what you really think about
me. So you're in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you should really be excited about this. And he's played by the dad in Thoroughbreds, who I like.
Okay. Yeah.
And he kind of admits to PT, like, maybe you're not so bad. but it's, I mean, it's interesting because it's kind of what the movie is about. You've got like the people, it's almost like when you go through Rotten Tomatoes or something and you see the reviews for it, because it didn't get very good reviews. It got like a 55% or something.
Really?
Yeah. But it's almost like they went and saw it, and I never wanted to say like they didn't get a movie, but it's almost as if Hugh Jackman's character in this movie, this is exactly what it's about. Like, just come watch a fun fucking movie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, it's when you get into, to me, sometimes it feels like it's the politics of the issue.
Oh, I'm sure there's like people just don't like P.T. Barnum,
Right.
The circus is mean to animal. Oh, I guarantee that's a huge part of it.
Right. And I can get that to a certain extent, but if it's a good movie, it's a good movie, and it's hard to deny.
Well, my problem is if you're going to go in knowing that you don't like the guy, and you didn't go into this movie thinking it was going to be about how big of an asshole he was, clearly,
right.
Don't even go see the movie. Don't review it. I mean, that's my opinion.
I mean, it's one of those things, like, it's really tough to, separate, like, the message and the political side of a story, because, like, if the underlying message is something that you fundamentally disagree with,
right,
it's really hard. Like, the acting could be great and the music could be great, but you could just hate it.
Well,
like,
that's just it, though. They don't hate the message of the movie. They
right.
just
they just
in
don't,
their opinion that this guy didn't really preach this.
Right, they didn't hit it hard enough is what they were looking for.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a family movie. At some point, you just have to, like, accept, like, this is the paradigm that we're walking into this movie in. It's like The Last Jedi a little bit. Like, you have to sort of accept, like, it's not going to be what you thought in your head it was going to be all these years.
And they tried to tell me that in the trailer, and I just thought that was just like, it's just a throwaway piece of dialogue.
Right.
No, it was this meta thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
This isn't going to go the way that you think it will. Yeah.
He's like, I told you.
Let's talk about...
But yeah, no, hey, go see that movie or rent it. Or it comes out, I think, on the 10th on Blu-ray. Right. So watch that movie, because I'd like for everybody to see that and tell me that they didn't like it. I don't know.
I think that's a good... Well, I mean, I think you said if you don't like it, you're worse than Hitler.
Yeah, it might be a little exaggeration.
It's all right. The internet is nothing without hyperbole.
Right. You're worse than Hitler's clone, who the director of Thor Ragnarok is going to create for his uplifting comedic showcase of World War II, and Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow put back in time in World War II,
and now she can have kids.
Yes.
You're worse than that version of
That's
Hitler.
what I heard when you explained that movie to me. Just to be clear.
I'm stoked for it, if I'm honest. Because it's going to be, if it's a train wreck, it is going to be a spectacular train wreck, because he is swinging for the fences.
I like him. I have yet to see anything I don't like from him.
Yeah, he's great. Did you see his movie Boy? It was like his first. It was like his original.
There you go. I'll have to watch that now.
That's a great.
I loved Hunt for the Wilder People. I really liked What We Do in the Shadows.
Yep. Thor Ragnarok is great.
Yep, I would agree.
I want to plug Thoroughbreds.
Okay.
Despite the fact that Universal flagged my video for copyright infringement when I'm doing literally what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I don't understand that, by the way. I really don't.
What was I saying? Thoroughbreds.
You want to plug Thoroughbreds.
I want to plug Thoroughbreds because it's a great movie. I really enjoyed Olivia Cook.
So are you liking it more the longer you sit with...
Honestly, I really liked the movie. I enjoyed it the whole time we were there. I didn't think it was great, but the more I thought about, like, the message of the movie and, like, the idea of, like, emotions and who's using who and, what defines you as a person and what are you willing to do to hold on to that, and what kind of life are you willing to live, I thought it dealt with some really interesting topics, and I thought it dealt with it in a really interesting way. The whole movie was different than anything I've seen in quite a while, because it got all those like almost jump scare moments, but there's nothing there.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very unique thing to do. But everybody should check out Thoroughbreds. And I also just wanted to mention that Universal sucks.
Yeah, I liked it. It's funny because usually this wouldn't be what happens, but I was just as or more impressed with Anya Taylor-Joy in that as I was with Olivia Cooke.
Yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy is great. She was great in Split.
She was great in Split. She's great in The Witch.
I still haven't seen that. I heard that's amazing.
She's the star of that one.
And then they've got another one, too. What was the other one that she did earlier in her career?
I don't know.
Was it Anna? Hannah or Anna?
I don't know, but I've seen her a few times. I like her.
Yeah, she's great.
And I like Olivia Cooke, too.
Yeah.
I actually was more impressed with Olivia Cooke in the other movie where I have a feeling we're
Yeah, that's a great segue.
Yeah.
Ready Player One, Olivia Cooke.
I thought she was the
great.
best person in the movie.
She
I
was.
do like, I'm starting to kind of like that dude. I forget his name. The guy who plays the villain in that. He kind of plays a good, like, corporate jackass type villain. Yeah, he's good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's Yeah, well, he was the bad guy in Rogue One.
Yeah, and he's not flashy, but he's good at just playing it. Just I don't like this guy.
He's good at being a dick.
Right. Yes, and he's the same character basically.
Yeah,
he's a dick.
Yep,
he's
a dick.
Corporate dick.
I mean, and if you're going to go into that, that's kind of one of my complaints about the movie a little bit.
Okay,
he's a little too simplistic, and it sort of gets you over the head of like, this guy doesn't get it.
Well, okay, so there's a lot of people that really like this book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's my problem with the book, is I feel like people kind of have the wool pulled over their eyes because it's so neat to like, oh, look at all this stuff that they pull out of their ass that I remember from the really good shit that I used to watch.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they think like, oh, this is great. But really, when it boils down to it, it's a pretty, all the characters are pretty cookie cutter, characters.
I heard it's pretty shallow and kind of like gatekeeping in a way, because it's like he wins everything because he knows all about nerd culture, and he made his whole life about these material pop culture things that really don't mean anything, and that's why he's the best in the book.
So yeah, that was something where I understand why they changed it for the movie, so it's not a knock on the movie.
Right.
But I kind of had fun in the book. Like he is obsessed with doing nothing with his life except for seeing every 80s movie like 50 times, and he knows everything about everything 80s because the guy who died, Halliday, was obsessed with the 80s, so he knew that all this shit that he was going to have to do was going to be related to the 80s, and that is not really the case in the movie.
Well, he becomes obsessed with Halliday, not with the 80s, because he knows everything about the dude. I mean, it's very clear when he's like, oh, he said this on this. I mean, he knows the date and the times. I mean, they're saying
he's walked that entire hall of memories and knows exactly what he.
Well, and he even says like the butler, who the curator of the museum. He's like, oh, you're back again, because he's the only one going back still, because it's 2 years. So plot being that this
5 years. Right?
Is it 5? Yeah, it's 5 years.
5 years since Halliday died, and nobody has gotten the first key. So there's 3 keys you have to get, and if you get the 3 keys, then you get the Easter egg, and there's clues that take you to the keys, and
it's Charlie in the Chocolate Factory with VR instead of chocolate.
Sure.
Which is fine. I'm fine with that.
I thought it was a fun movie.
I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. I thought it was a fun movie. I don't know. To be honest, I kind of feel the way about the movie. I feel exactly how I did when I read the book. I felt like everybody hyped this up to me, right? And I finally read it, and it's pretty good. You know what I mean? It's fun. There's some fun stuff in it.
Yep. There are moments of just pure joy in the movie.
The race at the beginning.
The race was amazing.
Awesome. And I didn't even give a shit about the characters yet. I just thought it looked cool.
I couldn't believe near the end of the game.
You're in it.
I'm fully in this movie. I could not believe that I actually was worried about the characters' safety. Like they're
gonna lose all their stuff.
Well, no, it's not the stuff. When they were coming after them in the cars, I was
okay. Yep.
somebody could actually die here.
Yeah.
Like, and I took myself out of the movie. I'm like, my God, I am actually invested in these characters, and I believe that something could happen to them. Because it's not a franchise. So I'm not like, oh, well, he's got to come back for the sequel.
Right.
They could all die.
Yeah, I felt that way about the characters in real life. I actually was, if there was anything that was shocking to me, it was how I actually cared just as much about their virtual reality avatars, though.
Right.
I mean, it was kind of like, it was well done as far as that's concerned. I mean,
I didn't know if it was a not. Did you ever watch the CG animated show from the 90s, Reboot?
No.
Oh, it was a great show. It was about like when you go and you play computer games, it was about these characters that would actually, they live in your computer and they play the AI in whatever game that you're playing.
That sounds good. Sounds interesting.
But the character that Parzival looks a lot like the main character, and I didn't know if that was a nod. But there are so many nods.
Everything is in the whole movie.
Right.
Like, I don't know. There's some bits in there. I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, you know what? Spoilers.
Spoilers, yeah, it's coming.
The Shining scene.
That was amazing.
Oh, it was great. It was great. Okay, here we go. So that scene is a perfect antithesis of what I love and don't like about the movie, though, and about the story.
Okay.
Because, okay, you got the Shining scene.
Right.
All right, they're going to have to do some Shining shit. Like, they're going to have to know the Shining. Backwards and frontwards.
Right.
It's going to be a test on the Shining. Oh, wait, he just runs into the picture of Halliday instead of Jack Nicholson. Oh, wait, do we just go there? Let's just go there. Now there's zombies dancing in the ballroom.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
What, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Was there anything Shining related that they had to do?
Well, they had to notice the picture, and then they had to correctly interpret what the picture actually meant. But what
the picture meant had nothing to do with The Shining, correct?
But what I will say is I actually think that you might be misplacing the idea of it, because it's not about The Shining. It's about what The Shining meant to James Halliday. Because the movie is not about the 80s. Okay. The movies aren't about the 80s references. The movies are about what's meant something to James Halliday. That's what everything is.
That's fine. That's lame. You have the set built for The Shining.
Right.
Do something. Although it was really awesome.
It was awesome to see it.
It was exactly the same.
Yes.
And I was so happy that they didn't do what I wanted them to do while I was watching it, when they show like Jack Nicholson's feet and he's walking just like he did in the movie, and you're like, oh, they're going to show him. This is going to be awesome. But then they didn't show him, and I said to myself, we just dodged Governor Tarkin.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I was glad that they didn't show him. I want to mention Mark Rylance.
Okay, Mark Rylance
as Halliday.
He played him? I didn't even realize that. Isn't Mark Rylance from
BFG?
Okay, but Dunkirk. He was the captain of or not captain, but he was the civilian. Yep. Oh, he was great in that. I hated Halliday in this movie.
Really?
Hated him.
I loved him because he was just like. Now, I don't want to offend anybody, but I think he was meant to be somebody with like Asperger's.
Oh, he had something going on.
Because
I told the girlfriend there is and I'm going to say this even though hopefully he never watches this, but there's a Pizza Pit delivery guy that we have who is like him.
Really?
Okay, example. Buddy comes over to play poker, and my girlfriend hands my buddy, like he showed up at the same time as the pizza guy.
Okay.
Okay, so the pizza guy hands the pizzas to Melanie, and Melanie hands my friend one of the pizzas and says, hey, you want to take this up? You'll be the hero. And the pizza guy looks up and goes, well, actually, there's two pizzas. Because, she had a pizza downstairs and we were eating a pizza up here. But he was dead. Like, he did, like, no understanding of, like...
That was a joke.
Yeah, or he is a genius troll.
Right.
But that's what the character reminded me of.
You imagine if that's what his intent was? Like, he's on that...
he's
higher
on a
of a level,
right?
That his brain, it's not like I could be nice and normal.
But the girlfriend liked him too, Halliday.
I Loved him.
So is he like your favorite character in the movie?
No, I think Olivia Cook's character is probably my favorite because she has a real motivation. She actually gives it to Parsifal about, like, you're just here to play a fucking game. Like, you're just obsessed with Halliday. Like there are real issues. I'm playing this for a real reason.
For the real world. Yeah.
Which was, at that point, up to that point, I was like, man, I'm enjoying this, but I don't think that Parsifal has much of a arc. That gave him an arc. That talk. Now, that's sort of a problem with the movie, though, in that he doesn't actually have much of an arc before that. We know what he wants.
He just wants to win.
He just wants to win, but that's a very shallow goal. And so it's kind of like, that's kind of boring, you know?
Well, he wants to. I mean, it's a shallow goal, but he doesn't like the whole idea of like clans and this whole.
Yeah.
And the corporation has these IOI guys who are after the egg as well, so he's partially doing it to stop them.
I kind of loved the IOI sort of design. It was very Tron. I enjoyed that.
It was Tron.
Yeah.
I didn't like the real world design of them, like in their like pods.
Yeah,
like, that to me is way more interesting if they're in cubicles. They're like workers, like they're in an office. They're boring lives. They go into work, they sit at their cube, and they put their VR glasses on.
You know what would have been great is actually if they had. So they have those, what do they call them, loyalty centers, where you basically pay off your debt to society by going into the game and doing basically slave labor in the game. And it would have been really interesting. And the units in which these people are doing their slave labor are very dirty, and they're very closed quarters, and they've got like these ankle bracelets that electrocute them. And that would have been really interesting if that's very similar. If there was like a similar design for what the IOI players who actually work there,
like the workers
actually have to deal with. So it's like this dirty, like IOI doesn't care about how dirty your workstation is, and they lock you in this tiny, tiny little room.
No, everything's very like sterile.
Very sterile
in the movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's classic like science fiction.
Yeah, like the sterile, the white is bad.
Everything. Yep, exactly. Yeah, clean and white and shiny and bad guys.
Yeah, I can't help the fact that the stuff, all the callbacks, they got me. I am a sucker for nostalgia.
There were a few that really got me good.
What were those?
One of my favorites was the fact that I'm assuming it was like a grenade-like weapon. It was Chucky.
Yes.
It looked to me like somebody pulled him out great. Like, hey, this is my inventory item.
Yep.
Throwing Chucky into the... I thought that was a neat idea.
And they got their one fuck in there for the PG-13, which is, it's fucking Chucky.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, that was great. I really liked the Zemeckis puzzle cube deal.
Yeah, that was great.
The Holy Hand Grenade.
Hand Grenade was amazing.
From, what is it, the...
Monty Python.
Yep. Yeah, no, there was a ton of cool stuff. I don't know. The Mechagodzilla, I already told you privately that it bothered me because why aren't you just using Mechagodzilla?
You mean regular Godzilla?
Like the original.
Oh, the original. Oh, you didn't want the sort of redesign that they gave.
No, I want the original one because that would have to me been more badass to see the actual Mechagodzilla.
I kind of agree with that, even though I was just glad to see Mechagodzilla on the screen again.
And I'm not like an anime or Gundam like guy, so that stuff was. I mean, I've seen the Gundam character. He looked awesome.
Yeah,
the robot.
Yeah, I love the Gundam design. And as an anime fan, I told you privately, I'm just stoked to see Akira and Gundam getting some sort of mainstream.
Sure. It was funny, though. I mean, there was tons of little stuff, too.
Yes.
Like my favorite shooter game is Gears of War. And, the chick, what's her name again?
I don't remember
her name, but the chick in the movie.
Oh,
Artemis.
Artemis, yes.
That's what she's using as the Lancer, so it's a machine gun with like a chainsaw bayonet on it.
Oh, okay. So, I actually know what that is.
So I mean, that's the kind of stuff where it's like, okay, we threw in all this stuff where hopefully everyone can take something.
Yep. Well,
which is neat.
I liked the beginning, too, when they're sort of showing you the different worlds, and they went to the Minecraft world.
Yeah, that was cool.
I was like,
Batman helping people climb Mount Everest.
That was great. Yeah. I loved seeing Battletoads, which is like...
Battletoads, yeah.
That was great. They had Spawn in there.
Spawn. I saw Spawn.
Harley
I liked the
Quinn.
bit with Goro and the alien busting.
Yes, that was great. That actually like got a real good laugh from me. Because I did not expect that.
Well, that. But again, let's not let this blind us here. That
it does.
Fun moments does not make a good movie.
Right.
Or do not make a good movie.
See Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
But it's good. I thought it was good.
I had a good time.
Yeah, and I thought the story was well done. I mean, I didn't feel like the last act was a little.
See, and I'm the opposite. The very beginning was a little, and
See,
then
I
the
liked the
end,
beginning.
and then the end got me really going because that. But I will fully admit that the end fully rode a wave of nostalgia. You remember this? You remember this? You
Yes,
remember
that's
this?
all it was. Correct.
And I understand that might grate on some people, but I was like, yeah, I fucking remember that, and that's awesome. Gundam fighting Mechagodzilla, that's fucking cool. The fact that he did a Hadouken, and he did the oh god, what's the scissor kick from Street Fighter?
Oh God, is it something that like
Ryu and Ken
does?
yeah.
I know what you're talking about. But
yeah. I mean, those were in there. That was pretty great.
What do you think about starting your movie with a 10-minute long scene where
that was weak? That was weak.
You don't like that?
I knew
either?
exactly where you were going. That was where I was like, you really should have shown this and not told it.
Why don't you just have a scroll up on the screen for 10, 15 seconds that just says, all right, year is this. There's this thing called the Oasis.
Yep.
Everybody gets screwed. Everyone's obsessed with the Oasis.
Right.
Movie.
Right.
Done. Not this 10 minutes of him droning on. And right off the bat, the first thing in the movie is a Pizza Hut plug. The first thing you see in the movie.
That's true.
The first thing is a Pizza Hut box being delivered.
You know what I love about that though? Is the fact that the plug is something that was a plug that was popular in the 80s.
Yeah, but it's just like,
right.
Okay, now your average moviegoer doesn't notice that kind of shit,
right,
though.
Right.
But to me, I watch it and I'm just like, you threw an ad for Pizza Hut,
right?
And I guess the whole movie is an ad for something.
That's true. That's true.
I'm saying?
I mean, that's the very cynical sort of look at it. Is that it's like, hey, remember these products?
Well,
Go and buy them.
how else did they get the rights to put all this shit in? I mean,
that's
this
true.
Can't all be publicly owned or whatever.
It's not. They had to pay something.
Can't be in the public domain.
No, none of it's in the public. None of it's been around long enough to be in the
there's
public
a reason
domain.
why Tracer from Overwatch is shown like 8 times.
Yep, that's true. And I think if I'm going into it being like completely honest, that was where I had a little bit of an issue. Is you could tell who plugged what, and who paid more, because I'm pretty sure that I saw some Nintendo characters in there. But they were so quick, you miss them, and that's sort of the problem with like
Nintendo should be half the characters.
Yeah,
if you're going for like an '80s nostalgia feel.
Well, that's the thing is they were just
80s,
they were going for everything.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And like I think they're like logistically, there's a good claim to doing it that way. Because why would the future only be nostalgic for the '80s? Because that's what's going on now, but that's not going to be the thing in 10 years.
That's true.
So
well, what's funny too though is like you've got people on. I like both the book and the movie. Don't like them very much, but you've got people that love the book who are complaining about the movie because it doesn't have all that 80s stuff and blah blah blah. One example that's really good is one of the challenges in the book to get the first key or whatever is he goes through this maze, whatever. He gets to the end of the maze and there's just a joust arcade machine.
Okay.
And there's this big, like, monstrous, badass dude who's standing by it. So the challenge is beat him in joust. Now, how fun is that to watch in a movie?
Not fun. That's true. That's
true.
They,
so these
they
people complaining, and instead we get a kick-ass looking race with a bunch of cool shit in it.
Yeah, that race was
Whereas,
fucking
but
amazing.
now in the book, I thought the joust scene was great.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't think it would be good in the movie.
Yeah, see, I heard that it's kind of clunky when you're reading it because it's kind of like he has to go on these long, huge paragraph descriptions of what you're seeing, whereas if it's the movie, you can just see it.
There's definitely more shit in the movie. Like, I never felt like anything was too long in the book. It's not a long book.
Okay.
But stuff like that's just not going to be interesting to, to see in a movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's a few parts like that. Like, so instead of the Shining part, in the book, it was the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick.
Right.
And basically his challenge was to, and I can't remember if he was playing Broderick's character or whose, but he basically gets put in the movie. And he has to know every line of dialogue. He has to play the part in the movie to perfection. That's how he wins it.
Okay.
So when the Shining thing popped up, I'm going, we're going to see some crazy cool shit where he has to,
do the whole movie verbatim. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But I do like... Okay, so coming from a story standpoint,
and by the way, if this doesn't fit into the podcast, this conversation, feel free to cut it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because this is me just bitching about, I'm not even bitching, but I'm just pointing out the differences. But to me, that's not fair to do because they're two different things.
Yeah, it's very tough. I'm going to leave this in the podcast because I'm going to go on a very important diatribe right now and say that sometimes a book or a pre-existing IP is very clearly superior to the film that they put out. And that's when it's fair to make the comparison.
Yeah, I don't feel like this is, though.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it is.
Because Dragon Ball Evolution, the live-action movie, is fucking horrible. And I'm not saying Dragon Ball Z is a fucking masterpiece, because it's got some garbage shit in it. But it is far superior in every aspect. So, I did want to say, thematically, I liked the idea, that we're learning more about Halliday as the movie goes on.
Okay.
I thought that was really cool. I think
he's a fucking creepy weirdo. I didn't like him at all.
And he's an asshole. He was a jealous asshole who's a weirdo.
Yeah. That's not wrong. But I think he knew he was
Well, that's the crux of the matter is he always has this regret that he threw away his friendship over.
He threw away his friend.
He went hoes before bros,
right.
shall we say.
Yeah. Well, and I liked that he clearly, the guy is clearly full of regret to make an entire challenge basically about learn from my mistakes. Don't take people for granted. That's basically the whole fucking point of the movie. And also maybe get out in the real world every once in a while. Don't be obsessed with... Well, I think they kind of go hand in hand. Don't be so obsessed with your work that you're letting life pass you by. But
yeah,
I liked
the ending was good.
I really liked that he was like, so you're not an avatar? And he's like, no. And he's like, is James Halliday dead? And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, so what are you? And he just leaves with the kid version of himself. I'm like, that's fucking cool. Because basically, I thought it was insinuating that he basically took his consciousness and put it into the game.
No, I didn't. I just thought he programmed something that...
Maybe.
You know what I mean? I don't know, but...
Well, the thing that I took away from it is that the two things that were happening in the game that I was like, wow, this AI... is super fucking advanced, is the curator, which ended up being Simon Pegg. So that wasn't super advanced AI. And James Halliday's old avatar, the old wizard guy. Because they both had very interactive dialogue with the people in the game. True. And so I was like, I know it's...
So you think there's a transcendence type thing going on?
Oh, God.
I never saw that.
I never saw it either. We should watch that in Fantastic Four. We'll do a commentary for you guys. No, I really enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it a lot. I love at the end. I know we're talking about this super fucking long, but I like at the end where they did a very classic 80s thing, which is the bad guy. You see the bad guy in the cop car, and the bad guy and his assistant, she starts hitting him.
Yeah, totally.
And that's very
cheesy.
80s. I was like, yes, I like this. I like that he didn't get killed at the end. Just like every fucking movie, oh, it's the bad guy, kill him. That's cool. He just got arrested.
There's a lot of cool stuff. Can we talk about how
Olivia Cook acts like she's this hideous monster who he's not going to be able to like when he sees her, and then she pulls off her mask, and it's like a birthmark that would be... Just briefly, let's just say that would not stop.
No. Well, she's still, like, she's gorgeous.
Yeah,
like,
right.
she's...
No, that's why it's hilarious to me.
Well, the thing that I was wondering is, I was like, so it's a birthmark, quote unquote, but it looks like psoriasis almost. And I'm like, now if it was psoriasis and that shit like just sort of broke out everywhere, yeah, I'd be like, okay, I can see it. I'm not saying
that
you shouldn't love
doesn't make a very
somebody.
good line of dialogue. Well, you know, it's my psoriasis.
Yeah, right. She's like, well, you think I look good today. Wait until you see me tomorrow. Like, and I'm sorry if you have psoriasis. That fucking sucks. And I'm not saying people shouldn't love you. It's just, I think that would have made her fear a little bit more believable.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that there's, you know, I don't know. The point is, I guess, that she's beautiful and she doesn't, I don't know. But whatever. I thought it was funny. Just, oh my God. You're right. Hideous.
Yeah.
Get back into the Oasis. Because the alien-looking creature girl thing is way better looking than Olivia Cook.
Yeah.
That's sarcasm. But
yeah, I actually didn't get the whole, like, oh, she's sexy. Like, I was like, okay, her voice is sexy.
I didn't.
But I didn't get any sort of attraction to the avatar.
He's into her because of her blogs and her Twitch stream and all this shit.
Oh, did they actually mention that?
They mentioned it. Yeah,
okay.
He watches. But that's the whole deal, is she's like this famous Twitch streamer type character.
I can't wait until Twitch just goes the way of the dinosaur. And that is just like an antiquated reference that nobody will get in the future.
Well, that's kind of funny to think about, yeah. But yeah,
It'd
enough
be like
about
if they
this movie.
Yeah.
Enough about this movie.
What
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good. It was a solid 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, for me, I gave it like a 7. I don't think it was 7.5 worthy. It gets like a, I don't know. It's weird grading movies because a 70% on a test is like a D-, but it sure doesn't deserve a D-.
No.
But average, I would say, is it's like an average movie.
Yeah, I know you don't like him, but I watched Movie Bob's review, and he said it's very much second tier or third tier Spielberg, which is better than what most directors
that's
can do.
one thing it felt like old Spielberg. Like,
yes.
I would rather watch something like this from him, even though The Post is a better movie.
Yeah.
This is more fun to me to watch. It's very Spielberg to me.
Right,
it reminds me of like E.T. or something, you know.
Yeah, you actually had fun with this one.
Right. So, yeah, I would recommend the movie.
Yeah.
But what else to talk about? Let's talk about, I have not given my update for The Walking Dead yet. Which I have continued to watch.
This is going to be a long-ass episode, people. Buckle in. So, yeah, let's do Jackson's Walking Dead corner.
Yeah,
Walking shit corner.
So, last we left, Carl had died after dragging it out for an hour-long episode, which felt like 3 days. So, since then, we've had the bad guy once again. A couple weeks ago, he was cornered by Rick, our main character, and basically was stuck in his car, and Rick, instead of just walking up to the car and killing him and shooting him, he shot the door of the car with a machine gun, and
he missed a guy in a car.
Well, yeah, the car's like kind of flipped. He's coming towards the back of it, and he's just spraying because he's so angry. He hates Negan, whatever.
This is the fucking apocalypse. You'd think these people would use bullets sparingly.
Yeah, I mean.
Anyways,
so he chases Negan to this house, like an abandoned apartment building or something.
Okay.
Ends up cornering Negan again. Negan is like the floor drops out. Okay, so it's like a 20-foot drop for Negan. Negan's hanging on to like the banister, like the top of a staircase. Picture like I don't even know how to explain it, but basically Negan is hanging by his hands. Okay. Rick has an axe. So Rick walks up to the stairs where Negan's hanging, and he's looking down at Negan. It's kind of a Mufasa Scar situation, right? Only not a far enough drop where you're going to die if you're dropped.
You're just going to be in a lot of pain.
Do?
I would think he would chop off his fingers.
Okay, so that's what he tries to do, and I would think he wouldn't do that.
Why?
My thought was, you have him dead right here.
Oh, you could
swing at his fucking head.
Yeah, that's true. You could just swing at his fucking head.
Okay, so
but how did he
at his fingers and Negan drops down. Okay, so Negan's down in the basement now, and Rick goes to find him in the basement.
Okay.
So now that's 2 times in this scene
where he's got him dead to rights.
The whole conflict is done. Like, you have Negan. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, chases him downstairs. Now I don't know how much you know about the story, but Negan has this bat. It's called Lucille, is what he named
it's got nails in it and whatnot.
Yeah, it's got like barbed wire wrapped around it.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
And so he's in love with Lucille. Like,
okay.
I didn't realize he was like in love with it until this scene.
So is there like a full-on sodomy scene where him and Lucille?
But Rick gets Lucille.
Oh shit!
And he says, Negan, and then
so you start like licking her and stuff.
No, he can't. He can't because it's got zombie blood in it. And now all of a sudden, you don't need to be bit by a zombie. Its blood just has to enter a wound or in your body.
Oh no!
And it kills you.
It's the AIDS.
It turns you into a zombie. This is new, but anyway. So then it turns into another big long fight sequence.
Oh, good. A nice boring fight sequence where nothing happens. Seen it.
Yeah, nothing happens. Right. Negan is separated from his crew. Okay. That's the end of that episode. The next episode is the rest of the crew. Negan's crew. There's this guy, Simon. And he is tired of Negan.
Okay.
Negan wants to be the savior, so he doesn't want to kill everybody. He just wants them to do his bidding. So like he'll go to a town, he'll kill a couple people just to scare them.
Just reasonable shit, you know.
Right, yeah, very reasonable. Yeah, no, he'll kill a couple people and then they're scared, so they we're taking 50% of your crops. I'm Negan. From 50% of whatever you net, we're taking. That's our cut. Okay, so that's the way he runs it. Is he's got his central. Okay, so anyway,
so he's towns, Big Brother, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. So now, one of these towns is called. It's like the Top Hill or something. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, but anyway, so Simon has decided that, you know what, I'm tired of these fucking people. Let's just kill everyone. Okay, so Simon takes the rest of Negan's crew into this compound at night, and he's fighting them, killing them off and shit. Mm-hmm. Because the original plan was just to get a few of them with the zombie blood and then leave, so that they turned into zombies. Like a few of them would turn into zombies, and it would.
Why are we doing this?
Because it would scare them and tear them apart or whatever. So anyway, they go in, they're going to kill everybody.
Jesus Christ.
At some point, the good guys, there's a big gunfight where everybody's just spraying bullets. You can't really tell what's happening, whatever. At some point, the good guys retreat into a building, and this building is like 3 stories high. There's like 4 or 5 sets of windows. It's dark. It's a pitch black night.
Okay.
So your thought would be like, okay, there's windows there. It's a pitch black night. The good guys just went in there.
Okay.
Let's slowly approach the building from the side where we can't see through the windows and we don't know if anybody's looking out the windows at us. So picture this, like war situation, okay?
Right.
You watched the good guys go into this building.
Do they know that they have weapons?
Yes. Yes, it's a gunfight. It's a gun battle.
Okay.
So they're walking up, and all of a sudden, oh, gee, out of the windows of the building they just walked into.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, everything, and it's not nitpicking because it's everything in the show.
Right.
Another example. So there's a scene, they do get a couple people with the zombie blood weapons. Okay. So as the bad guys retreat.
Because what kind of show would it be without the zombies in the zombie show?
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, so they get a couple people with the zombie weapons. Everybody's like, all the good guys, it's time to go to bed. Like there's just like there's kind of a big old school style mansion. And people are laying and sleeping in sleeping bags, first floor, second floor, just kind of all over the floors and whatever. A zombie comes out of the second floor. First he bites someone to death, kills him, and then walks out and falls down this like spiral staircase. I mean loud, like bang, 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 as it's falling down the stairs. Mm-hmm. Nobody wakes up. This is the show.
This is the zombie apocalypse, and they're all just
Nobody wakes up.
nobody's a light sleeper in the apocalypse.
I don't even remember how like they came to like realize that there were zombies that were awake. Like maybe they went into someone's bedroom and they weren't there. That was like how they discovered. But it's terrible, man.
Wow,
it's terrible. Now the latest.
That's great. That's great. I'm gonna go and check on Joey over here. Oh, Joey's not in his bed. He must be a zombie.
Where did Joey go?
Where did Joey go?
He was sick.
He was sick. He must be a zombie now because we don't have disease in the apocalypse.
So the interesting part of the show is here I am thinking like, okay, this has to end soon.
Okay.
Now they have introduced a new thread to the series. This is going to be where it goes now. There's this
good.
old woman that shows up with like these two like other women. And she shows up with like plans for like a dam and like, you know, different technology and stuff. And she's like, I'm going to come back in, you know, it might be years.
Oh,
I
Jesus
want to see
Christ.
that you guys have, you know, grown as a society and blah, blah, blah. She just shares these like blueprints for different useful stuff that would bring back.
I love how they're not even subtle about it. They're like, hey, this is the future villain. Setting it up.
I think she might be good.
Okay.
She was saying like, here's this knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so you're saying,
but the point is, there's an old lady driving around in the zombie apocalypse, and she hasn't been fucking killed, and she's with two other people, and as far as I can tell, she's not from any like she's just like a nomad. Like I can take care of myself.
You don't know what she's been through. She could have learned jujitsu and yoga.
The show is terrible.
I mean,
the show is terrible.
It honestly, it's awful even hearing about it.
Oh, it's terrible.
It just sounds like a pain.
It's worse than I'm describing too. Like because these are hour-long television episodes. It's on tonight. I'll be there.
It sounds a lot like what watching the Netflix shows is.
It's got to be. I mean, yeah, it's just so much bigger though.
Right.
Like as far as its popularity, that's what drives you nuts about it.
Well, it just keeps,
and I'm part of the problem because I keep watching.
Well, the ratings keep going down, which is a good sign. People are finally stepping off. I was going to bring up to you. Did you ever watch? Oh God, there's okay. So his first Matt Pat is his name. His first channel on YouTube was Game Theory. He just did video game theories, but now he's got a channel called Film Theory. And he had a film theory about The Walking Dead, which was the zombies have, as the show has progressed, the makeup on them has changed. And the way that they get killed and like sort of the amount of blood that they have changes. Worse. And he's saying they're actually going through the stages of decay.
Yeah, sure, they are. But they're worse.
But they're going through it much, much slower than a normal person. And so he actually used science to sort of figure out, okay, so if this is where they were in season 1 and this is where they were in season 6 or whatever, they should be dying off. Like literally
decaying to nothingness.
The original zombie should just be decaying into actual death this coming season. That's what he said. And this came out like last summer or something. But
there's newer, you know what I'm saying?
There's newer ones, which is always going to be the problem, but the massive outbreak is going to go away, and it's going to be much, much rarer to see the actual zombies. I mean,
it's kind of already true to the show.
And that would at least make the show at least a little bit more interesting because it's not just, oh, look, more zombies. Oh, look, another fucking society.
But see, what's funny is I want more zombies. Like, what happened to zombies on the show?
I want a super smart zombie.
I want the show to go into like what the fuck happened. Let's talk about the lore of how this started. You know what I'm saying? Like shouldn't there be a goal of like, okay, how
do we
right
cure
away
this?
In the first or second season they basically said there's no cure to this. But you know what? There's always time to change that. Like let's have a goal somewhere we're trying to go, and when we get there we can find the bullshit scientific solution to this.
Right.
And that's what they did. That's why the first season was good, was because they were going to the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yep.
And it was interesting.
Yep.
And then
I remember that, actually. I actually watched a few episodes from that season.
it was great. The first season was fantastic.
I was pretty blown away at the time.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. There's a reason why it blew up in the first place.
Right. But now it's just same old, same old. We have to drag it out because it's our moneymaker.
Correct. Now, AMC, though, I told you about this show. You probably didn't watch it because I feel like you would have texted me right away.
Oh, I definitely would have. Give me the rundown. Give everybody the rundown on this show that you're saying is potentially a masterpiece.
It could be, yes. I think so.
Right.
It's called The Terror. And funny enough, last time we did a podcast, I think I brought up how nuts Ridley Scott has become.
Right.
He produced this.
Okay.
And it feels like the original Alien, in a sense.
So it's sci-fi.
No.
No.
Well, it's Okay, so the true story is that there were these two warships in Great Britain that they turned into icebreakers, and they sent through the Canadian Arctic to get to the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
This is like the 1840s or something.
Okay.
They vanished. So the show is about those two real ships. The characters are real historical figures.
Wow.
Okay. Now, when they get stuck, there is some sort of a creature of some sort that we haven't seen much of yet.
So very.
But
aliens.
there's a supernatural element to the show, and where that I think comes from is I went and looked up this story when I watched the first couple episodes, because I was like, well, this is kind of a neat story I've never heard of. You
Right.
know? And apparently, like, people went up there to try to find these people, these two ships that just vanished, and apparently the Inuit tribe up there, the Native Americans up there, or
right.
I suppose Native Canadians, they had stories to tell, and I believe that that's where these, kind of mythological.
Okay.
But the show is not jump scares. It's not terrifying in that sense. It's slow, and you feel anxious watching it, which I like. I dig that.
I was going to watch it, but it's not on, and it wasn't on until 1:20 or something like that in the morning.
Okay.
Yesterday, and I had to work at 5.
Shit. Did you record it or anything?
No, I didn't. Because
Okay.
I don't. I don't.
You gotta see it.
Yeah.
It's there's a scene in the first episode, involving someone who has scurvy, or what they think is scurvy, that's killing them.
Okay.
And it is fucking just, you're just sitting
disgusting.
there like, ooh. No, not disgusting, but you're just like, oh God, this is just, because there's something else going on.
Is it really brutal?
No.
Okay.
No, but they do have, like, there were a couple surgery scenes, when they show, like, old school surgery with the liver and whatever, kind of like a Frankenstein type thing.
Right.
But no, there's something else going on in this scene that is scary.
Okay.
And it's creepy, not like jump scares, but it's just creepy.
Okay.
And the cast is good. It's got oh God, what's his name? The guy who played Mance Rayder in Game of Thrones. He's always good. Syrian Hines.
Yes.
Is like the captain.
Well, he was good except for Justice League.
Oh yeah, he played the voice of. Yeah, that's not his fault though.
No, that's not his fault. I'm just giving him shit.
But yeah, no, he's good. He played Caesar in Rome. It's got a bunch of British actors that you've seen in other stuff that are all usually solid stuff.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever watch Mad Men.
Yeah.
But there's the British guy who works at the ad agency.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in it. I think it's going to be good. I'm really excited about it. Good. I'm really excited because it's,
What is this on, Sci-Fi or
AMC?
AMC. So what you're really hoping for is that this becomes the new ratings monster, and they can
will not.
And they can finally let Walking Dead die.
I can tell you that this will never be the ratings monster that Walking Dead is, because most people aren't going to have the patience for this.
Right.
Walking Dead was something, gross out stuff every 10 minutes and whatever.
Right.
This is more, I don't know. It's
a slow burn.
It'll be interesting to people who like historical stuff, and it'll be interesting to people who like something like Alien, where there's this thing that we don't know what it is. It's mysterious. We don't know anything.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really good. my girlfriend was uncomfortable watching it, which to me is a good sign. Seriously. Kind of like how you described yours regarding the end of Annihilation.
Annihilation. Yeah, that was the thing that tipped the
not
scale.
that intense.
Yeah.
Just anxiety.
She got to the point where she was done. She was done.
No, at least it was like with 5 minutes left in the movie, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. She didn't have to sit through much. But she started squirming. I could tell she wanted to get the fuck out of there. We literally have enough content here for like 2 episodes.
There you go. Break it into 2.
I could do that.
Break it into 2.
But either way...
or don't just put time markers for shit so people are know what they're interested in.
Yeah, I gotta do that. But either way, we weren't super bored or annoyed this time around. I mean,
I was bored and annoyed last night. I was annoyed for Pacific Rim, but bored and annoyed for Pitch Perfect 3. That movie's terrible, and shame on you if you like it.
Which one?
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect. Okay. 3.
You are the problem.
There's nothing like saying out to the world, "You are the problem."
Although I did watch Transformers 5 this morning, so perhaps I am the problem. Yeah, I wanted to see it on my TV. It's got Cade Yeager's my man.
Cade Yeager is awful.
Oh, me and Cade, we're tight.
I'm an inventor.
Yeah, he's Cade
Come on,
Yeager.
guys, take an interest in science. Fuck you, fucking Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, me and Cade we're best buds. We got Merlin in it.
Merlin getting
great.
I thought you hated this one. I thought this was the worst one. I thought this one pissed you off.
It's just great. I mean, what better?
What
way
are
to
you
start
fucking
a film?
doing to me right now?
What a better way to start a film than a drunk Merlin with an amulet from a Transformer, played by an actor who we already saw in the previous movie as a different character.
Yeah, who says one of my favorite readings of this.
I liked him in that.
Oh my god!
I liked him. I liked him in the 4th one. I liked Kelsey Grammer in the 4th one.
You like music? It's the pill.
Yeah.
Fucking. And you're giving Ready Player One shit for fucking product placement when that's all those movies are. Crack open a bud. You're an alpha male.
There's a good. But have you
Fuck
seen
that
the 5th
Prius
one?
guy.
Have you seen Transformers 5? Did you even watch it?
No.
Oh, it's fucking awful.
Okay, see, that's how he really feels. Thank God.
I was watching.
I was
going to
say, you have the audacity to tell people that they're the problem?
They don't. I am the problem. I'll go every single time one comes out. But
You're a dying breed then.
We haven't seen the last of the Transformers.
They're rebooting after the newest one. After Bumblebee, it's getting a full reboot.
Do they...
They don't know. They just know they're rebooting. Which honestly, to me, actually gives me the thought that maybe the new Bumblebee movie actually won't be good. Like, I thought,
it could be good because it's not Michael Bay.
That was my initial thought,
And
but then I'm like, but why?
Checking it from Pitch Perfect, Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah. Well, that was my original thought. I was like, you got a decent cast here. You've got a good idea of going back in the 80s. Gets you away from all the shit that you're already in. But the fact that you're already saying we're rebooting after this one, really, it makes me question the quality.
So you think they'll do something real and interesting with like the lore of the Transformers? Because I've always liked the Autobots, Decepticons, Cybertron shit. You don't think they'll do anything interesting?
No, they won't do anything. It's the 80s. They're going to rely on...
No. I'm talking about if they start over.
Oh, if they start over, I think they realize they have to. I think they realize that they've burnt the original fan base. The original fan base is gone. And you've already dwindled the casual viewer. They're burnt out too. So you got to do something drastically different. But anyways, yeah, we were bored and annoyed for some things and not so bored and annoyed for mostly Ready Player One and The Greatest Showman.
I'm excited to see A Quiet Place this Friday.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that one. So hopefully we'll talk about that next week.
Isn't there something else? Oh, is it the Blockers that's coming? Isle of Dog and Blockers also coming out. So look forward to those reviews, hopefully, or maybe you hate this podcast, in which case, why are you still listening to this? This is the end of the episode.
Yeah, nobody's listening to this.
Yeah. Where can we find you, Jackson? Why don't you plug your Twitter and your Twitch and your Switch and your Snap and your...
pretty much any video game console
Hand off, Barry. That's it.
That's it.
Yep.
And you can find me.
Yeah, I don't have to plug myself. I'm that awesome. Everybody
Right.
just knows
You're
where I am.
already infamous, and we don't even have the first episode up yet.
That's right.
Currently, as of the recording of this.
That's right.
And I am Home at the Movies, and you can catch me there on YouTube. Home with a B.
Go watch The Greatest Showman and go Lions.
And yes, have a lovely day. Thought it would end with a shitty sign off.
Was that longer than the first one?
That's way long.